Welcome everyone to another episode of Left Off the Map. Food is one of those things I think that evokes memories like no other. Food, smell, taste, all of those things associated with food, I think makes you remember things from your past, especially your childhood, those nostalgic flavors, smells and foods that you remember from way back when. Now the first dish I ever made on my own and cooked for someone else, I cooked it for my family, was stroganoff. So I'm going to recreate stroganoff today. So we're going to make a turkey stroganoff that reminds me of being 12 years old cooking for my family. First step, heat in our pan a little bit of olive oil. And our base for our stroganoff is sort of the base of many stews or savoury dishes, garlic and onion. Got a clove of garlic, half a brown onion. Onion gets cut into slices traditionally in a stroganoff. So take the top and the tail off. Using the technique that we've learnt on the show before, that claw technique where you tuck your fingers under. We're going to cut slices of our onion. Once you get to there, when it starts falling over, just tip the onion over and go back the other way. Same with our garlic, just slices. Using that guillotine style because the onion and the garlic are high and you've got to get over the top of them. They can go in to our pan with our olive oil. We're going to saute that until it's nice and translucent, probably about 5 to 10 minutes. Then we'll add the main spice that's in stroganoff, which is paprika. So you can add sweet paprika, you can add smoky paprika, it's up to you. I'm adding a sweet paprika. So paprika, a good amount of paprika, about a tablespoon of paprika. Cook that spice out, and then once that's gone in, we're going to add in our tomato paste. So we've got about half a cup of tomato paste. Again, cook that out. Whenever you're adding tomato paste to something, especially a cooked dish, you've got to cook the tomato paste out. It just takes away the really sweet flavour and makes it a little bit more savoury. So onion, garlic, sautéed in a decent amount of oil for 5 to 10 minutes. Toast our spice in our paprika, cook out our tomato paste. Then we can add our turkey. Our turkey strips go in then, they get cooked in that tomato and that spice mix. Then we add the rest of our ingredients, which is our sour cream and our stock, and we're going to make a little roux with our plain flour and our stock, but we'll get to that. We'll cook this off and we'll add those ingredients as we go along. After cooking out that tomato paste, I've added about 350 mils of chicken stock on top of that. And now it's time to add our sour cream. So we'll add about the same amount, 350 grams of sour cream. Mix that in. The colour changes, but the flavour also changes. The extra fat in the sauce helps carry the flavour. The sour cream, the sourness of the sour cream takes it away from that tomato paste, making it quite sweet, that paprika making it quite sweet. That sour cream helps balance that out. And once that is mixed in, just let it simmer away for 10 to 15 minutes. You can serve this with lots of different carbohydrates if you want to do pasta, mashed potato, crusty bread. I'm going to serve it with rice. I'm using a whole grain rice to give the dish, or the rice, a little bit more texture, which will tie the dish together a bit better. Okay, a pinch of salt. Just let that bubble away for another 10 minutes. I'll cook my rice. And then something that I didn't add to mine when I was younger, but as I've got older, I like more intense flavours, more robust flavours. I've got some seeded mustard, which we'll stir through just at the end before we serve. I've heated my rice, and like I said, it's a whole grain rice, which just adds a whole lot more texture to the rice itself. And still a basmati, which is my favourite rice. So it's still a long grain rice, but it has I think, a much better texture. Last little thing to mix into our stroganoff is that about a tablespoon of Freycinet mustard. I'll mix that in. So we've got our whole grain rice, nice and chewy, a nutty sort of flavour, great texture and great flavour. Stroganoff. You could put another dollop of sour cream on there just to sort of ooze over the top. You can add, I think something that goes quite nice with the flavours that are in a stroganoff with that paprika, especially if you use smoked paprika. With the paprika and the tomato is a little bit of chilli. So a little bit of chilli flakes on top of the stroganoff I think is quite nice as well. A little dollop of sour cream, a little more chilli, squeeze of lemon, absolutely phenomenal. And that rice, like I said, just soaks up that sauce. The rice itself becomes part of the dish, not just an addition to the dish, it's actually part of it. It's absolutely beautiful. Now we're off to see the next adventure that Henry Terry is going on. He's on the east coast of Tasmania in Freycinet, catching up with the people at Freycinet Winery.
Claude, thanks for having me at Freycinet Wines. I have to say, a little bit knackered from walking up that hill, but it's worth it for this. I mean, what a remarkable spot.
You're welcome, Henry. Yeah, it's nice to have you here. This vineyard here, this slope is terrific. It's facing north, you know, and in a cold climate, a slope facing north to east is really good. Yeah, it helps you ripening. You get more sunlight and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm fascinated to learn a bit about that. But how did Freycinet Wines get started?
My in-laws purchased this property here back in 1978.
Yeah.
And then it was really early days in Tasmania's wine industry in 78. Tasmania was barely growing 70 tonne of grapes, you know.
Yeah, okay.
And that was mostly in the north and the south.
Yeah.
And Jeff purchased this property here, and then he got this idea to grow grapes here. He sort of looked at the north and the south and what they were doing, and he had a quiet confidence that this site would be good for grapes. Yeah. And gradually, Tasmania's now grown from barely 80 tonne of production through to about, in 2018, it was about 17,000 tonnes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's taken 42 years for Tassie's industry to get to there.
And it must have been a big leap.
We were early pioneers in this region. We couldn't really look over the fence and see how the neighbours were doing it.
That's scary.
And yeah, so it was wonderful times. And gradually, other farms in the region were sort of diversified, you know, from sheep and put in some vines as well.
Yeah. So scoping out a place to grow wine. I mean, we've got a really steep hill here. What I still don't know myself. Like the taste of it, but there's so much to where it's grown and all the variables of slope and climate and I don't know. There's everything going on. What is it that you're looking for when you're trying to find a spot?
Yes, you're exactly right. It's a really it's quite a jigsaw puzzle, you know. Choosing your site is a critical decision. You know, it'll define your wines. You know, where you plant your vineyard.
Okay.
Yeah, so anything you can do to help the grapes to ripen. And another thing is frost in spring. You know, frost, say this time of the year, September, October. It can be if you're on a slope, you get cold air drainage, and you avoid the frost.
So what sort of varieties of wine do you produce here?
Our main white grapes are Riesling, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
And our main reds, mainly Pinot Noir is our majority. But then we've also got some Cabernet Sauvignon, some Shiraz, some Merlot.
Yeah, it's amazing that you can, you mentioned before, like tasting where and how it's grown. You can taste it in the glass.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's right. Wine it's like liquid geography, It's a place in a glass and a season, These vines, everything that happens to them from now through to March when we harvest, they're producing this fruit that's, a cool wet season will give you a little bit lighter wine. A warmer, drier season will give you a little bit more mouth-filling richness. My wine will be different to a kilometre down the road or, in the north of the state. And so, the region where you are and the climate and conditions there all has an influence on your wine.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So my wine's unique to this place. No one else will have similar because they don't have my conditions here.
Yeah. And so when you've grown the grapes, what happens? Sorry,
Sure.
you're talking to a layman here. I really don't know what I'm doing.
To make a nice, rich, flavourful wine, the starting point is picking at the right time.
Yeah.
Growing the good grapes, this is pretty much where you make the wine, is out here in the vineyard.
Yeah.
So it's a crucial decision. Pick nice and ripe. You don't want to go overripe, that's important, because that's not good, and underripe's not good. So, and then it's just a matter of crushing, pressing the grapes, getting the nice juice.
So the grapes are grown, they're picked just at the right time, crushed, put into...
Pressed.
Then put into barrels.
And then
they're stored there, and there's a process in those barrels that they actually take some of the flavour from the oak.
Yeah, that's right, Gradually in the barrel, you cannot substitute wine maturing in a good oak barrel.
Okay.
And there's very few oak trees in Australia. And so the wine industry just brings all their barrels in from Europe or America.
Yeah.
Same with the whiskey people. So it's a shame our gum trees and pine trees weren't suitable. But in Europe, our gums and pines are their oak trees. They sort of pretty much everywhere. So
Okay.
So.
Well, it's a smashing spot. Can people come in and do a wine tour and get the treatment I've got today?
Absolutely,
Yep.
yeah. Look, on the east coast here, it's just a glorious part of Tasmania. It's the natural beauty. Just pretty much wherever you look, you'll see natural beauty. But that's pretty much Tasmania overall. You just can't surpass the natural beauty. And we're close to the Freycinet National Park here, and pretty much any visitor that comes to Tassie comes up this way, and so it's really good. We offer got a lovely sales room, tasting room, deck area, so we encourage people to bring picnics. But you've got a really nice range of wines, and you can taste them all, and some lovely coffee. It's just a few days here up the coast is just a great thing to do. Spend a few days up here, and there's a great range of wineries, some offering nice lunch options.
Yep.
So it's good to escape for a weekend or a holiday up the coast here. It's fantastic.
Yeah, world class. Well, I'd love to go and try a couple of your wines and
No
maybe
worries.
take one home
Very good.
for the girlfriend. So
Yeah,
thanks so much
yeah.
for your time, Claude.
You're very welcome. Yeah, it was great to have you here. No,
Cheers.
thanks.
Anywhere on Freycinet that has a winery is always going to be beautiful. So thanks to Henry for catching up with the people at Freycinet Winery and us learning a little bit about vineyards and winery on the east coast of Tasmania. So from a Russian dish in stroganoff to a Greek-influenced dish. Hummus and spiced lamb we're going for. I'm going to make some hummus from scratch. So I need a small blender, lemon, tahini, chickpeas, cumin, olive oil, and garlic. All right, a little food processor. Chickpeas. This is a tin of chickpeas here. Put them in. The juice of a lemon. I'm going to add some tahini now. Start with probably half of what's in here. Now, tahini, for those people that don't know, this is sesame seeds, which have been processed, so been blitzed. So that's sesame seed puree, basically. Cumin, teaspoon, and then a clove of garlic. Just roughly chop. And olive oil. Oh, salt. Don't forget salt. Good pinch of salt. What's that? So I'll add a little bit more olive oil to this and then mix it up, and I reckon we're done with our hummus. All right, that hummus is done. I'll stick that there. Now we can start making the spice mince to go on top of the hummus. So I've got some lamb mince here. The first thing I need to do actually is just toast my pine nuts. So I've got some pine nuts in my fry pan, some heat. Just want to cook them until they've got a little bit of colour on them, and they can go back out of the pan because we'll use them later. And then our lamb mince can go in. Lamb's starting to get some good colour on it, so I can add my spices and toast those now. So my cumin, about a teaspoon. And then about half a teaspoon of allspice. Half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And I like it to be nice and spicy, so about a tablespoon of chilli flakes. Toast those spices off. And the chilli is actually softened quite a bit by the lemon juice that we're going to add to the mince and also the hummus. So I've still got that heat in the pan, still crisping up that lamb. It's getting pretty close now. So I can add my lemon juice, probably turn the heat off. So the juice of half to one lemon. I'm probably going to end up needing one lemon, I reckon, but we'll see how we go. Lemon juice in, nice pinch of salt, a decent amount of salt. Lamb and salt, great combination. For most red meats and salt, really good combination. Shred up some parsley, toss that through while it's still warm, just so that wilts a little bit, and we can bring the dish together. Last thing to go into this warmed, now sort of warmish lamb mince is those pine nuts that we toasted from before. Those in, mix them through. And that is done. Now it's time to put all this together. And this dish, in my mind, is designed to be eaten with some sourdough or some bread to be able to scoop it up off the plate. So the first thing is our hummus. So spoon that onto the bottom first, on the first layer on the plate. So a couple of spoonfuls. And spread that out. Then on top of that, I'm going to put some of this lamb mince mixture. So just put your lamb mince mixture right to the edge on top of that hummus. And then just to finish, a little bit more of a good quality olive oil. Just it on top, cut up some sourdough to go with it. So like hummus is, it's almost this dish is almost a dip, but a bit more savoury with a bit more body to it. So it's something you probably could have as a meal. There we go. Homemade hummus with a spiced lamb mince on top. Something that you could make if friends are coming over and you want something a little bit heartier or with a little bit more flavour and a little bit more body than your classic dips. This will really change people's thought process or how they think of lamb and lamb mince in particular. There is so much flavour in that savoury layer of lamb mince that sits on the top.